My name is Michael Lonechild. I'm from White Bear. I've been working with the Treaty 4 Alliance now for a number of years, and I'm the artist. Kind of teamed up with the NCC, and that's how I became involved in monarch butterflies and other things that are at risk, like the animals and the insects, the flowers. I started painting when I was 15. Like I enjoyed drawing, and before that, and I think the one that inspired me how to paint was not paint, but became involved in art was my father, because I watched him draw. He used to draw on paper, and I was so fascinated that he could draw a horse on a piece of paper and make it look like a horse. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be like my dad, and I found out later that my father only knew how to draw a horse. That was the only thing he knew how to draw. Because I asked him to draw me some other stuff, and he said, no, I just got to draw this horse. And he drew this horse. It was a Pony Express horse with the hat back, and he's just giving her. And he got that picture later found out from the Remington, the Winchester shells on the box. There's a rider there, eh? And that's where he got it from. And I got so fascinated with art back then that I just couldn't leave it alone, and I became obsessed with it, and I was doing it all the time. And after I left where I was living, I had a stack of canvases. Some of them were finished, some of them were not finished, and they weren't the best works. So when I got home, I gave them to everybody that wanted one. And today I'm still painting. But back then I only understood two colors, and that was white and burnt sienna. Burnt sienna is a dark brown color. And with those two tones, I learned how to paint pictures. It was like just about like black and white, but not quite. And then as I progressed, I started to use blue, and blue had an effect on burnt sienna. And I started to understand blue a little better, so I tried red, and then I tried yellow. And those are the only colors I use today: yellow, red, and blue, and white. Sometimes I cheat, I use black, but black has a really flat, doesn't have any life to it, eh? So I make my own black with blue and red. And by painting something simple, it starts to become more complicated. It's hard to explain. For example, this drawing of this butterfly I did here, it was just a line and a couple of lines, and I started throwing this in and throwing that in, and pretty soon it looks complicated, confusing. And when you look at the monarch butterfly, it is really confusing. I think that's why the monarch butterfly is colored like that, because birds would probably want to eat him, eh? Or something would want to eat him. But when you look at it, it's so confusing in the color scheme that you don't know where to attack him. That's what I think. But enough of talking, I'm going to start painting it. Monarch butterfly is a real simple painting to do. It only has a few colors, like a really strong reddish orange color and it's all black with white dots on it. That's all there is to monarch butterfly. So I'll start by putting in the red and the yellow colors. And I use acrylic paint, and I don't have you know, some artists, they have a way of putting their colors on a canvas, on their palette. I just put mine where there's room. And then I start to mix colors I needed. So that's how my palette looks. And these are the brushes I'll be using. They're kind of old and raggedy, but they work. So I'll start with this using a little bit of red and a little bit of blue, a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow. Like I said, the monarch butterfly is really Actually, when I paint, I never paint butterflies. I just start painting butterflies with the kids in school. I'm just trying to cover it up. That's all I'm trying to do right now. And I'll put in some other stuff when I get in the dark.
Yeah.
That's kind of how like I said, I don't have a real specific way of painting. I've never really worked on any kind of a job. Like I never really had a job. like where I had to punch in and punch out, until I came to 3D4. Like I even then I wasn't punching in or punching out. So I had a difficult time trying to adjust to that, because when I guess it's most jobs you got to work inside the square, right? Like art isn't like that. Art is more like a circle, right? With some openings that you could go out from. That's the best way I could describe it. Like the thing about being self-employed is that it's your own fault if you run out of money, you know? It means you haven't done any work. Alright, I got most of the red covered in. Now put some highlights on him. Simple. Don't go painting the mountains. Paint something that you're familiar with, like winter, for example. Paint winter. Don't paint the ocean. Be a portrait drawer. There are some things you got to know when you're painting. For example, to me this would be right in the center of the canvas, right? This piece and that piece are equal. That's where you don't put your horizon line. You put it either above or below. You would either draw it here. Understand what I'm saying? And you must never, for example, if I was doing this butterfly, I would never put it right in the center. I don't know, that's the way it takes away the interest of the rest of the canvas. Like for some reason, when you do that, no matter how you put anything around it, it's not balanced for some reason, because you plunked it right in the middle. But if you moved it to the side, like here, or up here, or any place that you got lots of room to put other stuff. Alright, I think I'm ready to put in some dark color. So when I paint at home, I make my own black, which isn't black. It's actually a really dark purple. So it looks like this. If I touch the canvas here, like what I did there, I let it dry and I could paint over it after. It doesn't take very long to dry. That's what I like about acrylics, they dry so quick. Not really quick, but they dry. Yep, I had two brothers that were painting pretty good. And I have a younger brother that paints. And I got a son who paints too. But he lives in Ontario. I have 7 sisters, and none of them paint, thank goodness. See, what I also do prints on the side, and printmaking is a process that's never really exact. Sometimes I get the print back and I look at it, and there's something wrong with it in the canvas. So I have the technology to fix it, I guess you would call it. Like for example, that's a print there, and it's on canvas, right? So if this is canvas, that means I could use this paint to fix that. So that's what I do. I could match the color pretty close where I could match it and you wouldn't even know that it's paint on there. So when I have a damaged print there, that's how I fix it up. And a lot of times when you look on the edge of it, like the wrap around, they come white. They're only made to fit the stretcher. And when I get home, I touch them up. I put in the rest of the wrap. And when you're mounting the canvas, I'm not a really good at hitting those lines that where how far the print is. Understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'm not a really good carpenter where I could really make a square frame. So there's variables. Sometimes there's a little bit of white on it when I stretch it. And that's what I do. I just touch it up. These are touched up. If you look at them on the other side, they're real acrylic paint. But as I'm getting older, I find that my eyes aren't as good as they used to be. Like I gotta get a special pair of glasses made so I could see this close. Like my ordinary glasses, everything would be blurry. I like to listen to the jazz music because it's so relaxing, eh? And the best time to paint is in the morning. I don't know, it's because of the beginning of the day, and that you're energetic, you want to create something, kind of that idea. Because a lot of times, like in the middle of the afternoon, it's like you can't, for me anyway, it's like I can't create, I can't get my mind to sit down and do something. I gotta get out, and I get distracted really easy. So I'm trying to take some dramatic look today. It's starting to see. I still got to put in the white dots on it. Some white dots that go around the wing. See, the thing about art is you're never done just because you finished the strokes. So you could go back and do a little bit more. So I'm waiting for this to dry so I could put some more red in there. I don't know. It looks done. Which is not always true, because I've seen some of my own art after about 5 years, and the first thing I see is the unfinished stuff. I think so. Yeah, there was this one painting I did of an elk. This one lone elk was coming out of the bush. And the guy he sold it back to me because he needed some money, so he sold it back to me, and I seen mistakes on it, so I started fixing it. And fixing it and fixing it, and pretty soon I got so fed up with it I threw it out. It's because the body was too short on it, and I couldn't make it longer because there wasn't enough canvas. And the more I tried to do on it, the worse it got. But what happened was that before he sold it back to me, we made a bunch of prints on it. We made about 100 prints on it, I think. And I sold all of them. So the story is that the original doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, I did a couple of times. By that I mean I had some of I collected some of my own art when I was younger. But I ended up having to sell them. No. I hang some art, yeah. I got some Lonechild art. His name is Ernie Lonechild. He comes from Punisher, which isn't too far from here. But he was an old man. He was about 80 when I was around 15. But he was such a prolific artist that's all he did all his life. He would go out in the morning and he would go paint on site. He would take 2 canvases, and when he came back he had 2 finished work with him. That's how good he was. Alright, I got most of them done. So I'll start adding some character to him now. Just giving him a little bit of color. I'm trying to put some reflection on him. I just painted until I'm satisfied. So I'm lighting it up now. I'm putting some yellow in it. I put a little bit of yellow on the white because to me it kind of looked chalky when I used just straight white. But in actuality, the butterfly is just pure white dots. But by putting a little bit of yellow, it kind of Just going to put a little bit of background in it now. So these are just the background for the flowers that's going to be there. So I'll just put in a little bit of this color. Purple. I paint on drums too. I painted on teepee. In fact, I'm doing a teepee right now for the Lieutenant Governor's office. I use the school gym. I stretch it out and I tape it down with duct tape. Now I'll put in some flowers. Art is an illusion. It's just fooling your eyes with color. Suddenly your canvas becomes round, right? It's to go like that. Or it goes back, or it comes out. And I think that's why people love art, is because it has that effect on them.